you and Grandma?
Yeah.
We can't yet. We'll go see Grandma later.
Me.
Honey.
A 4-year-old girl is found unresponsive and later dies in the hospital, and now police have arrested 2 suspects, the girl's mother and her 16-year-old purported boyfriend. We sit down with this little girl's grandmother to better understand what's going on here. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Let's go to Evansville, Indiana, because this is where 4-year-old Octavia Aquino is dead. And her mother, 23-year-old Destiny Rhoades, and her 16-year-old purported boyfriend, Christian Gonzalez, have been arrested. Now, I want to let you know that in a little bit, we're going to bring on this little girl's grandmother to get a better sense of everything that's happening here. But we do have a lot of information at this point. We got a lot of information and a lot of details from a case supplemental report filed by law enforcement. So law enforcement, they receive a call about this little girl not breathing from this past Sunday. And apparently this call was made by Rhoades' best friend, who said that the girl was limp, she was not breathing. When police arrived to this apartment, they find Octavia cold and unresponsive. She's lying on a mattress in the living room. Officers apparently noticed bruising on her leg and neck area. There's a bite mark on her arm, and one witness said that this was the 16-year-old's doing. We'll get to that in a second. So this little girl was rushed to the hospital. She was alive. She showed very little brain activity, and she ended up dying. The cause of death is not known at the time of this recording. We're still awaiting autopsy results. But we're going to go back to what happened with the house for a second. So it seems that Rhoades and Octavia were living at this apartment where 2 other people were listed as tenants. And apparently they had been living there for some time. Now initially when police speak with Rhoades, she said that Octavia was attacked by a cat the day before, but didn't disclose any other injuries, and she didn't reveal that the 16-year-old had been living at that apartment too. Now one of the tenants told police that this juvenile, this teen, was referred to as Alex, and she was told that he was 20 years old, which was clearly not true. He was found by police, by the way, in the upstairs bathroom. Everybody in that apartment was taken to police headquarters for interviews. Now, the other tenant revealed, she allegedly said this to law enforcement, that when she saw Octavia on the mattress, not only was she cold and her lips were blue, but her eyes were open, and that this 16-year-old male had been sitting on the bed with Octavia. So police, they end up doing a background check, and they realize this 16-year-old, this juvenile, is Mr. Gonzalez, that he was a juvenile who had been reported missing out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, that Rhoades had been arrested in connection with helping him escape from his guardian and escaping from a juvenile detention facility. A protective order was issued against Rhoades to keep her away from Gonzalez. By the way, they weren't able to interview him because his guardian couldn't show up to the station. But police do speak to this mother, Miss Rhoades, and apparently she told law enforcement that she had unofficially been sharing custody of Octavia, but had full legal custody. She at first didn't admit that Gonzalez was living there, but then conceded he was, and that he would care for her daughter, that he would discipline her by taking away her tablet or swatting her hand. Rhoades said that on June 13th, she went to work, and Octavia didn't have any injuries, but later, the people that she was staying with, her roommates, showed up and told her Octavia did have these injuries and she had thrown up. So she says she left work, she confronted Gonzalez about the injuries, he blamed it on a cat, so she claims she thought that Gonzalez was lying, so she told him, kind of a ruse here, that there was a camera set up and she would see what really happened. That's when she claims that he allegedly confessed to her, that he did in fact bite Octavia after she allegedly bit him. Rhoades even said that Octavia told her that he bit her and covered her mouth. Now she claims she told him never to do this again, but Rhoades apparently told police that Octavia was acting strange after this, that she would be staring off into the sky, she wouldn't be responding to adults, she would be sleepy, she wasn't really interested in playing, didn't have a big appetite. So at one point, she goes to McDonald's while Gonzalez is watching Octavia. She comes home, Octavia's on her tablet, Octavia goes to bed, she wakes up the next morning, Octavia's still sleeping, and Gonzalez was watching Octavia. So police, they confront Rhoades about this little girl throwing up. And Rhoades apparently responded that this was likely due to the girl's anxiety, but eventually she seemed to admit it could be because of what Gonzalez allegedly did, allegedly abusing her daughter like this. And she claims that she really thought, because of telling him the camera was set up, again, it was a fake camera, that he wouldn't do anything to her daughter. And when Rhoades was asked, well, why didn't you just call police about everything? She said that she was scared. And she did say she tried to get Gonzalez to go home on multiple times, but he was, quote, manipulative, and she loved him as a son. Rhoades allegedly told police that she knows she made a mistake by leaving Octavia with Gonzalez. She explained that he had cried remorsefully in the bathroom for an hour afterwards, had never left marks on her in the past, and believed that the fictional camera in the living room would deter any future abuse. So Rhoades and one of the tenants, they actually tested positive for THC. Gonzalez indicated to police that he too would test positive for THC. And by the way, when they looked at this 16-year-old, he didn't have any noticeable injuries, according to police. He didn't have any bite marks, as he allegedly claimed. Police, they ended up confiscating the phones of everyone at that apartment, including the defendants. Now, Rhoades reportedly had originally been charged with neglect of a dependent resulting in serious bodily injury, but that was modified to neglect of a dependent resulting in death. That's a level 1 felony in the state, which my understanding carries 20 to 40 years in prison. Now, Gonzalez, the 16-year-old, he was originally charged with battery, but that was upgraded to a murder charge, which my understanding carries 45 to 65 years in prison. He appeared in juvenile court, but he was apparently waived to adult court. Now, it seems that the reason these charges were modified was because Octavia was originally in a vegetative state, but then she died. And it also seems that authorities are putting more of the culpability, more of the blame on the boyfriend than the mother by the way they're charged. Neglect, under the law, or under Indiana law, is about putting a child in a situation that endangers their life, or abandoning them, or not providing necessary support. Murder is knowingly or intentionally killing a human being, and that includes killing another during the commission of a serious felony. When you hear allegations like this, we go back to the question of how well do you know the people in your life? It's a scary concept to think about, but that is why I want to talk about our incredible sponsor, TruthFinder. TruthFinder is a service that can provide actual safety for you guys. And I say that because TruthFinder is one of the largest public records search services in the United States. Their whole goal is to help people like you learn about the people in their lives. And here's how it works. You go on their website, truthfinder.com, and you type in a name. For example, type in Jesse Weber. You type in my name, and within minutes and a paid subscription purchase, you can access unlimited reports that can include information like phone numbers, location history, criminal and traffic records, including possible arrests and criminal convictions. I don't have those, but you get the idea. You can look up information about potential new dates, people you connect with on social media, people you buy or sell to online, new friends. How about the parents of your child's friend? Look, you can never be too careful. It's really important. Now, here's the kicker. Right now, you can get 50% off of your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LC Sidebar. So with all of that in mind, I want to bring in right now a special guest. I'm joined by Octavia's grandmother, Linda Alvarez, to talk more about this. Linda, thank you so much for coming here on Sidebar. I said this to you before you came on. I'm going to say it to you again. I'm so sorry for your loss, for what you and the family are going through. It is unimaginable.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How are you doing? How is the family doing? I know this is incredibly fresh, but how's everybody doing over there?
We're doing as good as expected. My son, I think he's just still not really accepting it. He just kind of is bottling things up. I mean, our immediate family, like my other son and daughters, are taking it really hard. I'm taking it extremely hard. I'm not really I just don't understand. I didn't really sleep last night. It's rough.
We laid out all the facts that we've seen from filings and from reporting, but do you have a sense of what happened here?
I have a sense of what happened. I just don't understand why. We were aware of an inappropriate relationship with the mom and that boy that had gone on for a while, even when she was here living with us in Fort Wayne. We didn't know that it was like romantic, but nonetheless, we had, expressed our concerns with her hanging out with minors. And, I told her multiple times that I didn't think that it was going to end well, but she just wouldn't listen. When her and my son kind of split up and she went down to Evansville, we were originally unaware that she had taken him with her until the grandmother of him reached out to me. And then I did like my own little bit of investigation work and found out that he was there. The initial arrest of her before, with the pending charges that she already had, was because of me reporting where he was. I found out that by a mutual friend who was about to like go to surprise her at work. When she went to pull into the driveway, she had saw them together and she let me know. And so I sent the police there to pick him up because he was a minor and a runaway. After all that played out with the court and everything, she did come back to Fort Wayne for a while, and I thought her and my son were going to work things out. She had to go back down to Evansville for her court date, and apparently she brought him back down. But we were unaware. The grandmother never reached out to us. We didn't know that. We just were under the impression that he was living with his family, and Destiny, was doing the right thing, staying away from him because of, the charges and the restraining order and whatnot. We didn't know the people that she was staying with the time that she was down there. She was initially supposed to come back home, but the car had some issues, and so it didn't, she wasn't able to get back here. We know that she was lying to the people that she was living with. When she stayed with them, she introduced Christian as Alex and told them that he was 20 years old. Everybody, was aware of the situation, but not everybody knew what Christian looked like. The people that she lived with didn't know. Anytime she went and visited other people in Evansville who knew who Christian was, she never brought him around. But she talked about how she had a new boyfriend named Alex. So no one put two and two together. They just thought that she had a new boyfriend.
What was your relationship like with her?
She was like a daughter to me. I treated her as such. I loved her just like she was one of my own kids. We did everything together. We hung out. We went on cruises together. We took vacations together. I loved her.
Are you shocked by these allegations?
I'm shocked that she allowed it to happen. I'm not shocked that he did this because when they were together the first time, he had hurt Octavia. And when I found out about it, I had gone off. And I warned Destiny and I told her that she better not ever have him around again. And, why would you even have him around? So I'm shocked that she chose to continue to be in an inappropriate relationship with him, knowing that he was violent and he had a lot of issues. His home life was not good. But her excuse was constantly that she was trying to help him because of his home life. And I understand, but that wasn't your job. Your job was to protect your daughter.
You said that he had previously harmed Octavia. What happened?
He had spanked her and left some bruises on her before the first time that they had gone down there. And a mutual friend of ours had made me aware of them. And so I went down there and I got Octavia and brought her back. And she did. She had bruises on her. And so, like I said, when all of that played out and I found out, where they were staying, and I sent the cops there to pick him up. And after having all the conversations with her and really believing that, she was going to do better and that she had learned her lesson. And, I understood where her heart was because of Chris's home life, but I thought that she understood that this was not her problem. This was not something that she needed to be dealing with. This was something that, his family and authorities and CPS and all needed to be dealing with.
Linda, do you remember the last thing you had a chance to say to Octavia? You were so kind enough to share so many photos of her, and there's a video that we showed too of her asking to see her grandmother. What was the last interaction you had with her?
She called me and told me she wanted ice cream. And she did that often when she was with her mom. And so I was like, anything for my grandbaby. She's my favorite person in the world. So I cash apped her mom, the few dollars that I had in there. And I said, go take her to Sonic and get her a sundae. And then she called me back later to tell me how good it was and how she loved me and thank you. And that was the last time I talked to her.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. What was Octavia like? I mean, from the videos and the pictures, she was absolutely adorable. She seemed like the sweetest.
She was. She brought joy to anybody that she encountered. I don't understand how anybody could hurt her. She was the happiest, always smiling. She was just a ray of sunshine. Even when she got in trouble and we had to discipline her or just no, don't do that or whatever, she brushed it off and just went right back to being the happy little girl that she was. She never she didn't have any anger in her or any she wasn't a typical 4-year-old. She was so kind, and even when my other son's son here, her cousin, and they would play together, they didn't fight. They got along and they loved each other. And I remember one time when my other grandson, he actually bit Octavia. He's 2, and that's the stage. When Octavia was in that stage, she never, she was never like that. And so when I heard that Christian is saying that Octavia bit him and that's why he bit her, I know that that's not true, because that was not my grandbaby. She didn't have a mean ounce of anything in her at all.
And I mentioned this before, but when police looked at him, they didn't see any injuries on him. They didn't see any bite marks on him. So it tends to show
because it's a lie.
Yeah. He yeah, it's incredibly chilling. And when there was something that I saw this video of when Octavia was in the hospital and there was a final walk of honor. Walk us through what that was about.
Me and her dad decided, well, ultimately her dad's decision, to allow her to be an organ donor and be a miracle to some other children who were in need. I know that her kidneys actually went right away to somebody, so she has already saved the life of another child.
Wow.
It was a very hard decision, but we wanted her to live on and be a miracle because, she was a miracle to us for the time that we had her. And so the honor walk is the walk to the OR where they do the surgery to remove the organs, and the hospital walls are lined with staff members and friends and family to see her as we take her to do that.
And I understand that there was a GoFundMe that was set up in her honor as well.
There is. It's to help us, because what grandparent, what dad has that kind of money lying around to have a funeral for a 4-year-old? Nobody expects to lose a child at that age.
We're going to put it up there as well, so if people can donate and contribute and help support you guys through this, we'd like to help in any way that we can. No, of course.
Thank you.
As this case moves forward now, they've both been arrested. Their charges have been upgraded. They're facing years in prison if ultimately convicted. This is not going to be an easy journey for you or the family as you go through the process. What are you hoping for now?
I have mixed feelings about what I hope for Destiny. I don't know. I haven't decided, like I said previously, this is someone who I loved as a daughter. And so I'm just so confused, and emotions are all over the place when it comes to her. Christian, I want to spend the rest of his life in prison for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you think when she makes these allegations that she was manipulated by him? What do you make of that?
I make of it as that she was a 23-year-old grown woman who could make her own decisions, and how are you manipulated by a 16-year-old?
Linda Alvarez, it is it's such a chilling case. I am so sorry for what you were going through, for what the family's going through, for your loss. She was taken way too early in her life, and I'm so sorry you have to go through this. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing a little bit more about her. We're going to try to help as much as we can. We'll get this story amplified. Hopefully people can come out and support you guys. But on behalf of us here at Sidebar, we're really wishing you and the family all the best, because this is such a tragedy, and I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.